The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension. Alien delegates of various species, some towering with shimmering scales, others diminutive with chittering mandibles, gathered in uneasy agreement. The subject of their emergency assembly was a single word whispered across the galaxy. Humans. They are unlike any species we have encountered, the insectoid delegate began, their mandibles clicking nervously. Humans thrive in death-world conditions, adapting to environments that would obliterate most of us. Another voice, deep and resonant, joined. Their resilience is unnatural, said a hulking reptilian representative. I have seen their kind survive toxic atmospheres and sub-zero temperatures without pause. They endure pain as if it were a mild inconvenience. The telepathic emissary, an ethereal being whose form flickered like a heat mirage, added gravely, I attempted to read their minds. What I found was chaos, a swirl of emotions, determination, and raw willpower. It is overwhelming, even to one such as me. The room fell silent as holographic projections displayed recordings of human behavior. Scenes of Earth's wildlife flashed, apex predators brought to heel, ecosystems transformed by the calculated dominance of mankind. Clips from interstellar expeditions followed. Humans taming alien creatures, repairing equipment in zero gravity under fire, and forging paths through hostile terrain. They don't just survive, the reptilian delegate growled. They conquer. The council reviewed historical data meticulously. Humans had risen from fragile primates to technological masters in an absurdly short evolutionary span. They had faced predators far stronger and faster, megafauna with fangs and claws, and had not merely outlived them but thrived. Tools had turned to weapons, then to industries, then to empires spanning the stars. They are apex predators, the insectoid insisted, but they are also strategists. Where one method fails, they find another. The holograms shifted to battle footage, human vessels skimming through asteroid fields, deploying clever tactics against numerically superior foes. Despite their comparatively fragile bodies, humans compensated with ingenuity and determination. The telepathic emissary broke the silence again. They are driven by something beyond survival. They possess an insatiable curiosity, a need to explore and understand. But such ambition is dangerous. It could lead to the downfall of all others. Murmurs of agreement spread across the chamber. We cannot allow such a species to roam unchecked, a crystalline delegate declared, their voice sharp and chiming like breaking glass. If they are not controlled, they will become a threat to all. The discussion turned to strategy. Would they strike first, attempt to subjugate these humans, or negotiate? A consensus was difficult. Their fear of humanity was eclipsed only by their fascination with them. Finally, the feline-like observer stepped forward. Their fur rippled with unease, but their tone was measured. We must understand them first, they proposed. We fear them because we do not know their true nature. I will go, observe, and return with the truth. The council agreed reluctantly, granting the observer the necessary authority. As the meeting adjourned, the atmosphere remained heavy with unease. Humanity, it seemed, had already achieved its first victory, not through violence, but through the sheer terror of its reputation. The alien observer descended onto the human colony with trepidation, their craft landing in a secluded area far from the settlement. The air was rich with unfamiliar scents and sounds, chirping birds, rustling foliage, and the distant hum of machinery. Every detail heightened their sense of vulnerability. They activated their cloaking device, blending seamlessly with the environment, and began their mission. From the shadows, they watched the humans go about their daily activities. A group of them worked together near a riverbank, pulling heavy nets from the water. The observer noted their powerful builds and efficient coordination, mistaking their teamwork for a predatory hunt. The humans laughed and shouted, their voices echoing across the valley, which the observer interpreted as war cries. To their eyes, this was a scene of dominance, creatures bending nature to their will with brute force. Further up the path, the observer noticed another human wielding a sharp, glinting tool. The individual struck at a piece of wood repeatedly, carving it into a new shape. The observer assumed it to be a weapon and noted the precision and speed with which the human worked. Even their tools are extensions of their aggression, they thought, retreating further into the undergrowth. Later, they followed a pair of humans on patrol, both carrying weapons slung over their shoulders. The observer's fur bristled as they crept closer, studying their movements. One human stopped abruptly, kneeling to inspect something on the ground. The observer's heart raced. Was this predator tracking prey? Were they about to witness the infamous human cunning in action? But to their confusion, the humans simply collected a few stones and began tossing them idly into a nearby stream. The observer struggled to understand this behavior. Were they mocking their environment, displaying dominance through sheer indifference? The turning point came when the observer accidentally disturbed a branch, snapping it underfoot. The noise was barely audible, but one of the humans immediately turned, their sharp eyes scanning the underbrush. The observer froze, cloaking field engaged, but the human's gaze lingered too long. Then, to their horror, the human began walking toward them. Panic surged through the observer as they calculated their options. Flight seemed logical, but they knew the humans were fast, relentless. They readied their escape, bracing for the inevitable chase. But the human stopped several meters away, crouched, and extended an arm with an open hand. Their face showed no aggression, only calm curiosity. "Hello there," the human said softly. "Are you lost?" The observer was paralyzed. This was a trick, surely. Apex predators did not display kindness to potential prey. The human remained still, their voice gentle as they continued speaking in a language the observer couldn't understand. When no response came, the human shrugged and placed a small package on the ground. A ration bar, its wrapper glinting in the sunlight. Without another word, the human retreated, leaving the gift behind. As the observer watched the human walk away, a seed of doubt crept into their mind. Perhaps the terrifying apex predator was not as simple as the council believed.
The observer remained hidden in the outskirts of the human settlement, replaying the encounter in their mind. The human's behavior was perplexing. Predators were supposed to dominate and intimidate, yet this one had shown neither aggression nor indifference. Intrigued, they decided to observe further, determined to understand this contradiction. They moved closer to the settlement under cover of darkness, finding a vantage point near a gathering of humans. The creatures were sitting around a fire, their voices raised in animated conversation. The observer strained to comprehend, but the tone was clear. This was no war council or hunting strategy. The humans were bonding. Their expressions showed amusement and warmth, their body language relaxed. One human tossed a small piece of food to a four-legged animal at their feet, which eagerly snatched it up. The observer recognized it as a domesticated creature, its loyalty evident in the way it sat close to its human companion. This display was utterly baffling. Predators typically dominated their environment through fear or brute force. Yet these humans seemed to foster mutualistic relationships with other species, treating them with care rather than control. The observer's attention shifted as one human reached out to the animal, scratching its head. The creature closed its eyes and leaned into the touch, purring softly, a sound of comfort and trust. The sight struck the observer deeply. Trust was not something predators inspired, it was something they exploited. Later, the observer ventured deeper into the settlement and found a small cluster of humans tending to plants. They carefully arranged soil, watered roots, and examined leaves for damage. The observer crouched low, trying to reconcile what they were seeing. These beings, described as apex predators, were nurturing life. The thought was disorienting. Could this be a form of control? A way to manipulate the ecosystem for their gain? But the humans' expressions told a different story. There was no malice or calculation, only satisfaction and a quiet sense of purpose. The observer's curiosity grew as they tracked another human walking along a well-worn path. This one carried a small, rectangular container, which they opened to reveal an assortment of materials. The human crouched near a tree and began to work, using tools to construct something intricate. The observer inched closer, their sharp vision picking out the details. It wasn't a weapon or a trap. It was a shelter, tiny, meticulously crafted, and placed near the base of the tree. Moments later, a bird-like creature landed nearby, cautiously approaching the shelter. The human remained still, watching as the creature inspected their work. The observer felt their assumptions unraveling. Every act they had witnessed seemed to contradict the image of humanity as ruthless predators. They were builders, caretakers, and, most unsettling of all, empathetic beings. This empathy extended even to the observer themselves, who found their fear giving way to reluctant admiration. They couldn't forget the human who had offered them food without hesitation, as if recognizing their need and choosing kindness over confrontation. When they finally emerged from their hiding place, it was not out of obligation but a desire to understand. The same human who had offered the ration bar noticed them first, their expression lighting up with recognition. Slowly, carefully, the human extended their hand again, palm open in a gesture of peace. The observer hesitated, then stepped forward, their curiosity overriding their instinct to flee. As they stood before the human, something soft brushed against their leg. They looked down to see one of the human's domesticated animals, a cat, curled up beside them, purring contentedly. The observer froze, overwhelmed by the creature's lack of fear and the human's gentle smile. In that moment, they realized that humanity's strength was not in its ability to conquer, but in its capacity to connect. The observer returned to the Galactic Council, their minds still reeling from the experiences on the human colony. Standing before the gathered delegates, they recounted their findings with a calm but resolute voice. The humans, they explained, were unlike any apex predator the Council had ever studied. Their strength and adaptability were undeniable, but it was their capacity for empathy and connection that set them apart. They are not ruled by the instinct to dominate, the observer stated, therefore rippling with conviction. Their power lies in their ability to nurture, to build alliances, not through fear, but through trust. Skepticism rippled through the chamber. The crystalline delegate spoke first, their tone sharp. You witnessed their destructive potential, did you not? Their tools, their weapons, their history of conquest. I saw their potential for destruction, the observer admitted. But I also saw restraint. I saw creatures capable of unparalleled kindness, extending their care to beings far weaker than themselves. They protect as fiercely as they fight. The reptilian delegate growled lowly. And what of their ambition? Do you not fear it will consume everything in its path? The observer paused, considering their words carefully. Ambition without compassion is dangerous, yes. But humans are not driven by conquest alone. Their ambition is tempered by a desire to create, to connect. They are builders of relationships as much as they are survivors. The telepathic emissary regarded the observer silently, their flickering form betraying no emotion. Then they spoke, their voice measured. And you trust this duality? Their capacity for both destruction and creation? I do, the observer replied firmly. Because I experienced it firsthand. When I was vulnerable, they offered aid. When I was unknown, they approached with curiosity, not hostility. They chose connection over fear. The council murmured amongst themselves, the weight of the observer's words sinking in. Some delegates remained doubtful, their fear of humanity's power too deeply ingrained. Others seemed intrigued, even hopeful, by the possibility of an alliance. Back on the human colony, the observer found themselves drawn into the rhythm of daily life. The humans, now aware of their presence, welcomed them with open arms. They were invited to share meals, observe rituals, and learn about human culture. Each interaction reinforced the observer's newfound understanding. These were not creatures of pure instinct or cold calculation. They were complex, capable of great ferocity but also profound tenderness. One evening, the observer sat with a group of humans around a crackling fire. The atmosphere was warm and light-hearted, filled with laughter and shared stories. A child approached cautiously, holding out a small flower. The observer hesitated before accepting the gift, the child's innocent smile disarming their last remnants of fear. A soft weight settled on their lap, and they looked down to find a cat curled up there, its tiny body radiating warmth. The humans chuckled, explaining that the creature had chosen them as a friend. The observer stroked its fur tentatively, the simple act grounding them in a way they hadn't expected. As the firelight flickered, the observer felt a deep sense of clarity. Humanity's strength was not in their dominance, but in their balance. They were predators, yes, but also caretakers, creators, and companions. Their place in the galaxy was not one of conquest but of connection. For the first time, the observer understood that humanity was not to be feared but embraced. And in that moment, as the cat purred softly in their lap, they realized the galaxy could learn much from the apex predator who chose to protect.